Hello everyone, Super Genius Sepp here, and here's another redstone video about observers. Before you watch this, I'd recommend you watch my previous video about the new terminology I'm going to be using for redstone components and stuff, because I think it's pretty important to know that before you get into this. But anyway, I just decided to roll the two previous observer videos into one video, and sort of redo the whole talk about it, because I've learned more since I made those, and it's not raining right now, so that's good. People complained about the rain, and there's been some new information that's been some new information regarding observers that I'd like to talk about, and the situation has changed. So basically, forget whatever you saw in those previous videos, because I'm going to redo the whole thing and hopefully explain it better, and the situation has also changed a little. So, Minecraft. In Minecraft Pocket / Windows 10 Edition and etc., or MCPE, observers, the block update detector blocks. Oh, did you see that? The Pocket Edition GUI just popped up for a second because I touched my trackpad while using the keyboard. Anyway, Minecraft observers in MCPE work like this. They emit activation power, which means that the blocks right in front get powered, but they don't update or power adjacent blocks to them. And observers will also emit 15 strength power. So as you can see, they emit 15 level power. Redstone has 15 levels. Here's 15. This lever is powering 15, and it goes to 14, 13, 12, and so on. And it emits a full 15, going all the way down to here to the 15th block. So, as you can see right here, this is getting an update. The observer emits a pulse. This, however, does not cause an update. And I mean, if you're a new player, you wouldn't expect it to, and that's why it's one of the reasons why it doesn't. You see, MCPE redstone works like this. If I use this lever to strongly power this block, then redstone components will be updated by it. Right? They get updated when I pull this lever. See? However, the block itself doesn't get an update. It doesn't do anything. Like it itself isn't really changing state, and since it doesn't get an update, that observer right here doesn't notice anything because nothing's happening on this block. Even though technically in a redstone that's being powered, it doesn't actually nothing happens to it in the code. And like redstone dust doesn't cause updates where it doesn't have to. So like if I power this, 4 blocks just got updated. This one, this one, this one, and this one. The blocks underneath the redstone did not get updated because, you know, they're just blocks and there's no redstone components near those blocks. The block underneath this lever didn't get updated. The block here didn't get updated. This block all didn't get updated. One, because, you know, they're not redstone blocks, and 2, because they're just air. And then this block didn't get updated even though there's redstone pointing into it because, well, there's nothing there. And even if there was a block, it wouldn't get updated because it's not a redstone component. And no redstone components will be updated by it because there weren't any redstone components there. So, observers themselves do not cause updates on themselves. So if I do this, nothing happens because, as you can see, observers don't cause block updates upon themselves. If they did, then this would cause an update causing this to be to activate, and if it caused an update on itself, then this one would detect that update, and then this one would detect this update, this one, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. So, another thing is that because of how MCPE redstone works, as you can see right here, that works, but this doesn't, obviously, because, you know, just space, nothing's getting updated. And of course, as you can also see, there is a delay. There is a 1 redstone tick delay on observers. And also, as you can see right here, observers output a 1 redstone tick pulse. And you can tell that by here, I just gave it an update, and it was enough to invert that redstone torch. Redstone torches require at least 1 redstone tick, a 1 redstone tick pulse in order for them to invert. If they receive like a 0 tick or a half tick or something, which is something that doesn't happen in Minecraft Pocket Edition / Windows 10 Edition, etc. But if they did, they wouldn't invert. So that's how they work, because they require at least a full redstone tick of power to invert themselves. As you can see, also when I push this, it emits a pulse because it gets updated, because there was a block update on the block because it got moved there. So that's pretty useful. So as you can see, if I do this, nothing happens because, well, this block doesn't get updated because it's not a redstone component and it doesn't change state at all. So this one doesn't get activated and this one doesn't get activated. And so that is how they work in MCPE. But now let's move over to Java Edition. Whoosh! And here we are in the Java edition of Minecraft. 16W40A, which is, as of right now, the latest 1.11 snapshot. And here is how observers work in this edition. They emit strong power, as you can see. I know it's not weak power because if you look very carefully, and you put a lamp here, you can see that this resin dust did get powered. But, as you might have already guessed, by how little light it seemed to, like how it didn't really seem to get very bright, they only emit one redstone, a signal strength of 1. So I can put one here and it'll get powered, but if I try to go one more, this one won't get any power, and nothing happens. So there you go. They emit strong power at a signal strength of 1 compared to MCPE observers, which emit weak power at a signal strength of 15. No, not weak power, sorry. Activation power at a signal strength of 15. There we go. So another thing is that observers in the Java edition currently output a 1 gametick pulse. They don't output for 1 redstone tick. For reference, a redstone tick is equal to 2 gameticks. A gametick is basically a time in the game that is used for like various calculations and stuff. Like every tick, something happens in the game. Every game tick. And redstone ticks happen every 2 game ticks. Well, observers emit their pulse for only 1 redstone, for half a redstone tick, 1 game tick. And because of that, oh, you just saw another thing there I'll talk about in a moment, but here, I'll just cause an update again anyway. It is not enough to invert this torch, because a torch requires a full redstone tick to invert. Another thing is that they have no delay. They are pretty much instant, as you can see. And also, take a look at this. They don't require blocks in between them. They just update the air, because Java Edition Redstone works like this. This is a repeater is powering this block even though there's nothing. It updates this block, and then because that's an update, this one thing gets powered. Breaking that caused an update. Placing this caused an update. Placing this. Break. That caused, like this. Breaking this caused an update. It's like a block away. And then that doesn't. But now, if I do this, that caused an update. I can that, look at this. That caused an update, of course, because, you know, it depowered it. But this causes an update, even though it's 3 blocks away. This causes an update, and that one is expected to cause an update. As you can see here, if I do this, this is gonna output strong power, and when it does that, which of these observers are going to power? This one did because it updated this block, but it didn't update the block in front of it. And the same apply now, as you can see here. Put an observer. Gotta move this around. Put that here. Whoops. Okay, hang on. I have to place them differently here. Here we go. And do this like so. If I hang on, let me just. There we go. Okay, that's what I meant to do. Now, if I do this, this observer will detect this block being updated, but this block does not get updated, and so therefore the observer doesn't detect it and it doesn't power. And the same thing was happening there, which is basically the same thing as why this causes an update. However, this one, because those are the limits, it only updates the block right in front of it. It doesn't update the block right here. So anyway, that's a little bit about the Java Edition's Redstone update mechanics and stuff. And so it's a little funky to work with, but you can learn to work with it. And of course, to prove that there's no delay, in case you were just wanting to make sure, check this out. If I set the time to night and then place this block here, it will send a signal all the way down there to a lamp. Instant. The only delay would be in lighting updates. That's pretty crazy right there. So, you can see already that the observers act quite differently in the editions. Now, back here in MCPE, here are some very minor differences that aren't really that important, but here we go anyway. As you can see, when I place an observer, this top texture right here, this little cone shape, is always facing the same direction no matter how I place it, as you can see, which I don't think is intentional. I think that's a bug. Another thing, when I place it, the output is facing me. And like, as you can see, output is facing me. And I think that's probably, maybe possibly incorrect behavior because when I place this, the output is right here. It's facing away from me, as you can see. So, there's that. Another thing, which actually might be a little bit more important, is the fact that that observers actually redirect redstone dust. As you can see, if I power this line right here, that lamp doesn't turn on because server side, this observer is redirecting it. If I get rid of the observer, powers it. If I place the observer, it's server side redirecting the redstone towards it. Even though, why would it redirect it on the side? It also redirects it on here. Redirects it from every angle, actually. From the output. Okay, the output I can understand, but the input, it doesn't need. I don't think it needs to redirect it on the input or on any of the other sides. But that is, I think, a bug. There's actually another one. If I do this, it looks like it's redirected, right? And that's how it would be redirected in a Java edition. But this is sort of reverse of that previous bug. It's not being redirected. So, I don't know, maybe they mixed up one line of code with the other or something. But onward to the Java edition to see how it works there. As you can see here in the Java edition, as of 16W40A, depending on how you place the observer, the cone will be facing a different direction. So that is working. Also, when you place it, the input, the observing side is facing it, which I think makes more sense if you want it to be consistent with repeaters and comparators. I will say one thing about this texture, though. I think it should be pointing the other way. Like, this cone should be pointing the other way. Like, if you're trying to make it look like, if you have, like, an eye right here. If this is the front of the eye and it sees something like this right here, then doesn't the vision go, like, in a sort of cone shape like that, going this way? And the eye of the observer is here. So, why is the cone facing the other direction? Another thing is that also means that if you see this line, you would think that these look like arrows so that they're pointing like, oh, the signal goes up this way, right? No, because the outputs are here. It's actually going this way. So, yeah, there's that. So, those are some little odd differences. Oh, I forgot about the redirection. This time, they still redirect it, but this time it's visual, which is, I guess, an improvement. Here, let me just do a proper example. Put that there. That there, place this here. Okay, that works. When I place an observer, it redirects it, and it doesn't. Same for every. Oh yeah. There's some block update behavior there. Redstone dust doesn't update when it gets redirected. Huh. So yeah, redirects. Like there we go. I want to show that. Redirects on all sides, but this time it shows up on the client. So there is that. Now, let's talk about what behavior is intended, because that's important. Because I'm pretty sure the Mojang devs do want the observers to work as close to the other ones as possible on each of the editions. Now, in the previous observer videos, I had posted a bug report on the official bug tracker, which I will link in the description. Concerning these outputting strong power instead of activation power. It was marked as works as intended for the Java edition. Then I posted a Minecraft Pocket Edition bug for basically the reverse, like why do Pocket ones output activation power. And then they looked at it and they realized, oh wait, oh. So then they realized that the Java Edition observers were wrong. They were supposed to emit activation power. And so it's been reversed from works as intended to reopened, and the Pocket Edition one has been marked as works as intended. So these observers will be changed to emit activation power. Now, as for the signal strength, I would assume that if they know about this, they'll fix that. They'll change that too to be 15. However, I don't know if there's a bug report for it yet. If there isn't, I'll make one because there needs to be. I'll make two, like one for should Pocket Edition ones output 15 strengths and should the Java Edition ones output 15 strengths, like which is the right one, you know, to figure out which is correct. But I would assume that the MCPE 15 strengths level is the correct one. I think that makes the most sense. Another thing is that I'm pretty sure the observer should be outputting a 1 redstone tick pulse instead of a 1 game tick. Also, I'm pretty sure they should have a delay because they do in the Pocket Edition. I'm not sure if that's like this instant behavior. It's the bug on the Java Edition bug tracker has been assigned to someone, so I assume that this instant stuff is a bug. So there will be a delay like in MCPE soon, I guess, when they fix it. Also, another thing, this will actually no longer work when they're changed to emit activation power, because if you remember looking over here, this block right here gets activation power from this strongly powered block, but the observer doesn't detect it. And because observers would no longer emit strong power and would instead emit activation power, this would no longer work. So basically, they would work pretty similar to the Pocket Edition ones. There will, however, be one difference, but I'll get to that after I explain one more thing. The texture stuff, I'm assuming this will get ported over to the Pocket Edition. As for placement, it's really not that big of a deal, but hey, you should be consistent, and I assume they'll get that changed at some point. Maybe not like immediately. It could be a couple updates from now, who knows, but it's really not that big of a deal. But as for the redirection thing, I don't know if this has been assigned yet, but I'm assuming that this has, like, them redirecting redstone on the sides is a bug. I don't know about the output or the input. I can understand the input redirecting it, but any other side doesn't really make sense to me. But that is what I think is going to happen. They will stop redirecting redstone on the wrong sides. They will not be instant. This won't work anymore. They'll emit activation power, and I would assume they would emit 15 strength, like power level, like a strength of 15. So now, time for the things that will remain different due to the mechanics of redstone into 2 editions. That right there, see that? That is basically the big difference. Even if no matter what they change, this block is still going to cause an update, and because they are block update detectors, they will respond to whatever is considered a block, whatever causes a block update in this spot in their respective editions, and so they will work exactly the same, but what powers, like what activates them will be different because Java Edition Redstone does flood updates. It updates all the blocks around it, and all that's like that. Like, all the blocks get updated even there's nothing to do on them. Like this block right here underneath the redstone will be updated. So if I do this, that will continue to cause updates until they change the redstone system in the Java edition, which I can't imagine happening anytime soon. So keep that in mind. Now, I know in the moment like this thing happened, people began making stuff using it, and I have to say, I pretty much always knew that was a bad idea, and I think they're about to see that all their stuff is going to break, because when they're changed to activation power, this won't work anymore. And even if they place redstone dust, I'm going to assume they're going to make them have delays like in the in MCPE. So this will be severely nerfed, and really there won't be any good reason to use it when you can just use pistons putting up slime blocks, putting up redstone, or the older methods of instant wire and stuff. So there you go. That is the differences between the Java edition and the C++ or MCPE edition observers. They are going to become a lot closer together, but how they, like, what kinds of block updates will be caused, you know, will be different in the editions due to the fundamentals of the differences of redstone and block updates in the two editions. So there you go. That is a video all about observers that is completely rain-free, that is, I think, more informative and more well-explained than the previous ones. And if you liked it, then please click the like button to show that you did, and share it with all your friends if they happen to be nerds about redstone or just want to learn more about the situation or are really confused or something like that. And if you really like these kind of videos, then please make sure to subscribe so that you never miss out on any more of my redstone videos concerning like advanced topics like this and all these crazy redstone stuff that happens. And this has been Super Genius Zeb. I thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you again in the next video. Goodbye!